Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we get straight to what matters. Today we're looking into something, well, really crucial, but often kind of confusing for federal employees. Picture this. You're working hard, maybe PSA, maybe USPS out on a rural route, maybe even a federal corrections officer, and boom, you get hurt on the job. Now, here's the kicker. The best medical help, the doctors who really get federal workers' comp, they might be miles and miles away. Yeah, we've heard these stories too. Federal workers driving like over 100 miles just for PT or a doctor's visit really makes you wonder, why go that far? Literally. And I mean, how does that even work financially? Seems like a huge burden.
It really does seem like a burden, and it stems from a real challenge. It's finding a qualified doctor who also takes OWCP. In some parts of the country, that's incredibly difficult, so workers have to travel. But what's interesting, actually, is how the government handles this. They have a system for it.
Exactly. So that's our mission for this deep dive. We want to unpack how federal employees can get that specialized care, even if it's far. And crucially, how Uncle Sam actually helps pay for the travel and even for your time off work for those appointments. Our goal is to give you the knowledge to handle this or help someone you know without getting buried in confusing roles. So let's just acknowledge this going the distance thing isn't rare. Think about those officers near Leavenworth or postal folks way out in the country. They might have to drive quite far to find someone who knows OWCP inside and out. 100 miles. Yeah, we've seen reports confirming that. It happens. But okay, here's the really good part. The government knows this happens. They expect it even, and they'll reimburse you for that travel as long as it's, authorized by OWCP.
That's absolutely right. OWCP specifically covers your transportation costs for medical appointments linked to your work injury. We're talking mileage for your car, parking fees, tolls, sometimes even bus or train fare. Generally, round trips up to 100 miles. That's usually seen as reasonable, reimbursed pretty smoothly.
Okay, 100 miles round trip. What if it's more like really remote areas?
Good question. If a one-way trip is over 100 miles, you might need some special pre-approval. But for most cases under that 100-mile round trip, it's fairly standard. You use a specific form, the OWCP 957, to claim the mileage.
OWCP 957. Got it.
And the rate, well, it changes, but recently it's been around 67 cents per mile. That's meant to cover your gas, obviously, but also the general wear and tear on your car.
67 cents a mile. So a 100-mile round trip is like what, 67 bucks?
Roughly, yes. And for things like parking, or if you took the bus, you just need to keep your receipts. The whole idea is distance shouldn't stop you from getting the medical care you need. They try to make you financially whole on the travel part.
Okay, that makes sense for the travel cost. Big relief there. But the next thing anyone's going to ask is, what about my time? If I take, say, half a day off to drive an hour each way and see the doctor, am I just losing that pay?
That's a really important question. And the answer is generally no. You're not just losing out. As long as your claim is accepted, your time is covered too. FECA, the Federal Employees Compensation Act, provides for wage replacement for missed work time due to these appointments.
Wage replacement, how does that work? Is it different depending on the injury?
It can be. There are two main ways. First, if you have a traumatic injury, that means something specific that happened during one work shift, like a fall, and you file your CA-1 form quickly, your agency might put you on what's called continuation of pay, or COP.
COP, okay.
Right. COP lasts up to 45 calendar days. During that time, if you miss work for appointments related to the injury, you get your full regular pay. You don't use sick leave, you don't use annual leave, no pay lost for that time.
45 days, full pay. That's pretty good for those sudden injuries. What happens after COP runs out? Or if it wasn't a traumatic injury, maybe something that developed over time?
Yeah, good point. After COP ends, or for those non-COP injuries like repetitive stress injuries, OWCP itself pays for your lost wages. It's not usually full pay like COP. It's typically 2/3 of your gross pay if you don't have dependents.
2/3 tax-free though, right?
Correct. It's tax-free. Or it's 3/4 of your gross pay, also tax-free if you do have dependents. That usually works out to be pretty close to your normal take-home pay. For claiming these hours, like for a doctor's visit, you'd use Form CA-7, and there's a part, the CA-7A, where you break down that specific time missed.
Okay, let's make this concrete. Let's use our TSA officer, Alex. Alex lives an hour, say 50 miles, from a good OWCP clinic, drives an hour there, spends maybe 2 hours at the clinic, checkup, PT session, then drives an hour, 50 miles back. So that's 4 hours out of the workday and 100 miles on the car.
Right, a typical scenario.
So assuming the OWCP claim is accepted, let's do the math.
Yeah.
Mileage. 100 miles times, let's say, 67.7 cents. So that's $67 back for the travel.
Yep, $67 for mileage reimbursement.
And the time. 4 hours missed. Let's say Alex makes $25 an hour. If Alex is still in that 45-day COP window, that's 4 hours at full pay, so $100.
Correct. $100 under COP.
But if it's after COP or not a COP case, it's that OWCP wage loss. 2/3 or 3/4 pay. So maybe around $60 to $18 an hour, tax-free. For 4 hours, that's, what, about $66 to $72?
Somewhere in that ballpark, yes. Depends on the exact wage and dependency status, but around $66 seems reasonable for our example.
So just for that one trip, Alex gets maybe $67 for mileage, plus either $100 or maybe $66 for the lost time. That adds up to like $130 to $167 for just one appointment trip.
Exactly. It shows the system is designed to prevent you from being out of pocket just for getting necessary treatment. It removes that financial barrier.
That's a really powerful benefit. And this feels like a really big but. You mentioned it hinges on something absolutely critical.
It really does. And this is probably the most crucial point we'll make today. All of this, the mileage money, the wage loss compensation, it only happens if your underlying OWCP claim is officially accepted by the Department of Labor.
Only if it's accepted.
Only if it's accepted as work-related.
Mm-hmm.
If your claim gets denied or if it's just stuck in pending status, you generally don't get those reimbursements yet. So getting that initial claim approved isn't just a detail. It's the absolute key that unlocks everything else. And honestly, a lot of claims get denied early on, not because the injury isn't legit, but because of like paperwork errors or not enough medical evidence tying it to the job.
Wow. Oh, okay, that is paramount. If claim acceptance is the absolute gatekeeper,
Well,
how do you make sure you get through that gate, especially dealing with, federal bureaucracy? Which brings us to this idea of OWCP specialty clinics. You mentioned people drive a long way for them. You always have the right to choose your own doctor, right? So why choose one of these specific clinics, even if it means that 100-mile drive? What's the secret sauce?
well, connecting it back to that crucial claim acceptance, these specialty clinics offer some really significant strategic advantages. It can genuinely change the whole experience. First, and this is probably the biggest one, they have incredibly high claim acceptance rates, like near 100%.
Near 100%.
They're basically masters of the OWCP system. They live and breathe this stuff. They know every form, every rule, how to write the medical reports exactly the way the Department of Labor needs to see them to approve a claim.
Yeah.
You take a place like, say, Restore Muscle and Joint. They talk about having a 98% acceptance rate on the first try. That's almost unheard of otherwise.
98%
Huh.
compared to what? What's typical if you just go to your regular doctor?
It's hard to get exact numbers, but some estimates suggest that, well, a huge percentage of federal workers who don't use specialists might never get their claims properly approved, often due to errors made by doctors unfamiliar with OWCP's specific requirements. So going to a specialist is almost like having a cheat code for getting the claim approved, which then guarantees all that treatment, the travel, the wage loss gets covered.
Okay. That acceptance rate alone sounds like a game changer. What else?
Second big advantage, no treatment delays. This is huge for recovery. Your average clinic might say, okay, file your claim and come back once it's approved. You could be waiting weeks, even months in pain while the injury potentially gets worse.
Yeah, that sounds awful.
These OWCP clinics,
Yeah.
they usually start treatment on day one, even if the claim paperwork is still being processed. They understand prompt care is vital, so you start getting better right away, less pain, faster recovery.
First treatment immediately. Okay, what else?
Third, they handle the paperwork. All those confusing forms, CA1, CA2, CA17 for duty status, CA7 for pay, it's a lot. Specialized clinics basically do it for you. They fill them out, they file them, they make sure the medical narrative clearly links your injury to your job duties.
That avoids those lack of causation denials you mentioned.
Precisely. Simple paperwork mistakes are a top reason claims get rejected. These clinics take that whole headache away. You focus on healing, they handle the bureaucracy. Much smoother.
Less hassle, better chance of approval. Makes sense. Anything else?
Fourth, and this is subtle but important, they work for you, the patient, not for your employing agency. An independent OWCP clinic's priority is your health and recovery.
As opposed to?
Well, sometimes, if your agency sends you to a specific doctor, there might be, shall we say, pressure to minimize the injury or clear you for duty before you're really ready. An independent specialist has no loyalty to the agency's budget or staffing needs. They'll document everything fully and only sign off on return to work when it's truly safe, with the right restrictions if needed. Patients often say they feel more heard and better cared for.
So unbiased medical care focused solely on you, that's definitely a plus.
Absolutely. And fifth, many of these places are like a one-stop shop. They might have orthopedic specialists, chiropractors, physical therapists, all in the same building. This saves you a ton of time and travel. You might see the doctor and have your PT session in the same visit instead of driving to different places on different days.
Even if the clinic itself is far, you might make fewer trips overall.
Exactly. More efficient. Fewer miles to claim, less time off work needed in total.
Okay, so let's recap the clinic benefits. Near guaranteed claim acceptance, immediate treatment. They handle the paperwork, they're solely on your side, and it's often a one-stop shop.
That's a great summary. And when you put all that together, it leads to faster healing, continuous coverage for your care, way less financial stress, and just peace of mind, which is huge when you're dealing with an injury. People using these clinics tend to get back to full duty quicker, with fewer problems along the way.
It really paints a clear picture. And circling back to that crucial point, all the financial support we talked about, the mileage, the compensated time off, it all flows from getting that OWCP claim accepted in the first place.
Couldn't stress that enough. It's the foundation.
So choosing a clinic that has that proven track record, like that 98% number you mentioned, isn't just about convenience. It's fundamentally about making sure the whole system actually works for you financially.
It's a strategic choice to secure your benefits.
All right, so the key takeaway here for anyone listening, especially if you're a federal worker dealing with a job injury, don't let distance scare you off from getting the right kind of care. If the best help, the OWCP savvy help, is 50 or 100 miles away, remember the system is set up to cover that travel.
Don't bear that cost alone.
And your time getting treatment. That's compensated too once the claim's approved. Choosing one of these specialized OWCP clinics dramatically boosts your odds of that approval, making the whole recovery process smoother and financially secure.
It really does. Maybe think of it like this. Your body's kind of like your car, right? Your most important vehicle.
Yep.
If it needed a complex repair and the absolute best mechanic, the specialist, was an hour or two away, you'd probably make that trip, wouldn't you? Especially if someone else paid for your gas.
Yeah, you would for sure. You want the expert.
Exactly. In this case, you are the vehicle, and you deserve the best mechanics in the federal injury business. Those specialized clinics are those mechanics. It's worth asking yourself, what's that kind of expert care and resulting peace of mind worth for your own health journey?
That's a great way to put it. Something important to consider. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.